Everyone, it's Swank Ivy with the last Letters to an Asexual video of the year. Happy holidays if you celebrate anything around this time of the year. I got together with my family on December 26th. We don't necessarily celebrate Christmas exactly, but we celebrated a combination of Christmas, Hanukkah, and Yuletide. And I had my family and one of my friends over. We hosted a nice dinner for my dad and his wife and my sister and her husband. And so the six of us, with me and my friend being the hosts, we cooked a whole big meal and it was awesome. I made these Gardein fake chicken pot pies that turned out really, really awesome. And we made a vegan scallop potatoes and a really good type of corn dish, and of course the green bean casserole that everyone loves. I made homemade biscuits, so everything was a hit. And my dad brought some brisket since I don't eat meat, but everyone else did, so they enjoyed that. I just did not partake of that. And then I had kind of an epic dessert situation. We made 6 different kinds of cookies, including also my very first cheesecake, so that was the 7th dessert. And my dad was very brave, trying one of each cookie as well as a piece of cheesecake. I'm very proud of him. Everything came out awesome. And of course, because there were so many cookies afterwards, I had planned a cookie party with my friends for a couple days after that to help dispose of all of the cookies and find nice homes for them in people's bellies. So had kind of a smallish gathering with, I think it was 11 people, and I made homemade hot chocolate and homemade spiced cider to share. And it was a great time, and we stayed up too late and got full of sugar, and it was fun. So there were a lot of good times had, a lot of nice gifts given and received, and I am very much looking forward to not doing anything for New Year's Eve. So tell me in the comments, what were your plans and what are you planning to do for New Year's, if anything? Would love to hear some of your adventures. As for my adventure today, I'm going to share a message that I got that is on a subject I have covered on this channel a long time ago. It is basically on the subject of why do we need to talk about asexuality or be out? Why do we need to talk about this if we don't really have the problems that people assume that everybody else has, but not us? And what's the point of discussing these things that should be private? So a much earlier video that I covered that in felt a little bit more trollish, where the person was shaming me and saying that I shouldn't talk about this because it's nobody's business, whereas this one I'm going to cover from a very sincere and kind of serious viewpoint. And the person that sent me this letter was a person who had received that kind of comment for their own desire to talk about asexuality. So I'm going to share their message with you, which was an anonymous comment sent to my Tumblr, and then I will share my elaboration on why it's so important to have these conversations. This is the anonymous comment I got on my Tumblr. The person says, I have a friend that's bisexual, and she's very accepting of my asexuality. But yesterday, when I was telling her about the possible violence that aces might face when coming out, she kept insisting that there was no need for anyone to ever come out, because it's a personal part of who you are. And I tried to reason with her that some people want to talk about their identity to show their pride, but she wouldn't listen. How do you suggest I explain the right to coming out without fear to her? Here's what I said in response. That's frustrating. I've dealt with that too, actually. Why do you need to come out if it's personal? Here's why. If you insist that someone's orientation should be personal, you're advocating closeting, period. It's gross to group open discussion of aspects of your sexuality with aspects of it that most people do keep private. And it's not just a matter of pride, though that's part of it. It's also a matter of being able to be honest about your life with people who know who you are. Why should that be personal? Code for don't bring it up, which is, for asexual people, code for probably being mistaken for / treated as a different orientation. Many of us are assumed straight if we don't identify otherwise, though there are a host of reasons why someone might also incorrectly assign us another identity. When you're silent, people fill the silence with what they expect. And that not only hurts us, but hurts our community. Silence is deadly. Most people have no idea how silent it was before there was a widespread ace community. Most people have no idea how so many of us quietly assumed we must be broken, let ourselves be absorbed into relationships that may have included things we didn't want, found ourselves pressured into believing we did not deserve permanence or intimacy or respect because no one was talking about it, or at least the conversations were not happening where we could see them. I was born in the 1970s. I felt some kinship with the various stripes of the LGBT community as it evolved and changed over time. But even in those spaces, there was so little talk about it, and almost none of it was organized. It felt like a very long time for us. And now that it's improved so much, I will not accept that these conversations were unnecessary because I was supposed to keep this inside me. I honestly thought I was going to be pressured into marrying this boy I was with, because that's what you do as an adult. What's wrong with you? He wants to take care of you. Don't you want children? Why are you like this? Why are you so cold? You need to work on this. And I don't talk about this much, but I literally had visions of ending up unable to function because I would break if I had to live that way. There were dark times when I thought I did not have a choice. Thankfully, that was during my dramatic and tumultuous younger years when everything seems louder and more world-shaking. But that's still with me. And that's what some people's adult lives grow out of. The lack of choice. The feeling that it's your fault. And you need to learn to love the way everyone says you should. The feeling that you have a terrible secret. And if you talk about it, you'll be called a monster. People who haven't been othered in this way often deny that it happens, or claim it wouldn't hurt them if it did. I really wonder how they would feel if they'd ever gotten an email like the one I got some time back from someone who said my orientation rendered me spooky, alien, hardly human. Someone took it upon himself to say that to me. Someone who either thought that was a helpful thing to say or delighted in the idea that it would hurt me. I deserve it, surely. I was an early content creator in the realm of asexuality. I will never forget the outpouring of gratefulness and relief that came out of people who contacted me, saying my work had changed everything for them. Anyone who dismisses the importance of talking about it is doing one of these things. A, denying that we have problems. B, denying that our problems are really that bad. C, denying the reality while focusing on the ideal. By that last, I mean people like this so frequently default to, well, you shouldn't have to talk about it. I mean, just be you. Don't depend on labels. We should just be who we are. That isn't how the world is. In an ideal world, yes, we should all be able to pursue the relationships we want and not feel pressured to pursue anything we don't want. We should be able to feel however we feel about sex and not be treated like it makes us weird. We should be able to explore our attractions or lack thereof without judgment. We can't, though. We don't. We don't live in that world. So expecting us to pretend the world is like that while ignoring the problems it causes is violent. It usually means that person has never seen evidence of that violence because it can't happen to them, and it usually means they want us to shoulder the burden of experiencing that violence in the good name of progressing to an enlightened world where labels don't matter. Finally, if you don't want to talk about it, you shouldn't have to. It is your friend's prerogative to talk about her own sexuality as much or as little as she wants. If she feels it is private for her, she can live that truth. But many people don't acknowledge the everyday reality of disclosure. How casually and without fear straight people reveal their orientation every day. Someone I know has a habit of sneeringly opining that people shouldn't need to come out, only to take for granted her ability to mention her husband or her opinion of a movie star's body in casual conversation, without realizing that if a queer person disclosed a simple description of their perception as influenced by their non-heterosexual orientation, she would take that same statement as throwing their sexuality in my face. They can't tell us it should be private without understanding how far into a closet we have to go to actually keep it private. And even if you don't bring it up, people sometimes ask. It's an aspect of our experience we should be free to discuss. Mandatory privacy requires making a way bigger deal out of it than disclosure does. So that's that for that subject. I'm sure it'll come back up again at some point. I feel like some of these discussions tend to be cyclical. And sometimes when it's been a while since we've had some kind of dust up about this particular issue, people have forgotten that it used to be so important and say, why are we talking about this? Nobody has a problem with this now. And then you give it a couple of years and suddenly it's the hot button issue. Somebody's the main character on a social media platform who has started a discussion that we've had before. And hopefully we are moving forward in a spiral rather than a circle, that we're moving up. But we can't always guarantee that because for some people it's their first time on this ride. Some of them think that they're coming up with new arguments when they're really very old arguments and they're not intellectually honest, or maybe they're kind of lazy and don't want to look into any of the queer history. They don't want to look into the steps that their elders have taken to already address these issues. But I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep talking about it. And I will also be here to hear you. Thanks for listening. Until next time.